This is part 3. Sorry for the stop and starts, but I'm trying to do this so I could go home sick again. I'm going to just go ahead and blend for softness, right? Remember that that's really what the smudging stick is for getting that smooth texture of something that is smooth in real life. So we're going to do that. Now, it can also, of course, be used to extend your shadows when they are light. Okay, down here, I'm just gonna smudge that up a bit. I see it real light here, so all I'm gonna do is fuzz up the top, which I do see blending out a little bit and not a hard edge. And then I'm gonna go ahead, no, that's not really doing it. I see some very real shadows in here that I didn't catch at the very first. Put those in with the side of my pencil. I see little bits of shadow back here. Yeah, that's probably too far up. I'm seeing all of this being kind of, remember, if you curve your strokes, you're going to make it look like the fabric is curving, which is what we want here. And I'm going to extend that. And then here, okay, here's the fur. All right, so this is actually where we wanted the darker shadows there. And they kind of do go up all the way along here. A little bit in here, it's right there. And a little bit in the wrinkles. And I'm seeing a little bit more wrinkliness in there. And again, that's just showing those little bits of wrinkle there. I don't think I really need to, but maybe with this one, I'll just pop a little highlight right in the middle and make that look even more 3D. Now, the tongue, red has a darker value than the white, so I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna add a little, it's a little too much tip of the pencil there, but you get the idea. I'm gonna be really careful now not to blend that outside of the edge of the tongue. And then that's just really dark, but right next to it, there's this little edge folding over and catching the light right here. Whoops, I want it just underneath that line. And then I'm gonna go in with my shadow right on that line. Okay, up here, there's just a little bit of shadow there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna blend this just in case in sort of a circular pattern, like the fur. And I'm gonna get those dark eyebrows in there with the side of my pencil, and I'm gonna go super dark because that brown is darker than the red of the tongue, and it's darker than the brown of the ears. Now notice right here, that's actually eyebrow, so I want to make it real hard edged right there because it's being overlapped by the white fur. Need to take off my oopses here a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to blend here and just barely right there. And I'm going to keep that white, I think. That's my direct light area. I'm getting the most light there, just a couple little spots. Okay, so here I'm gonna go round and around just in case, and this is a little bit blendy at the top edge because you got individual hairs, it gets a little blurry looking. Now here, this is important. I'm gonna blend in the direction that the stripes go. So I need to be super careful about observing that. They're going this way, and here they're going this way. I'm going to redo the buttons in a minute, and then they go this way, and then they go this way. Curve, they curve, they curve, they curve. They curve this way. Alright, now what I can do here is, see here where you don't see the stripes at all? I'm going to take this, oh, I need a less fuzzy tip here. Let's try the other one. Now I need to take some scratch paper and get that blacker. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually draw the shadows. Here's another way if you need to add graphite to the tip of your smudger. You can actually just kind of draw right on it. I'm going to actually take these stripes the direction that I'm seeing them. So each time the fabric curves, the direction of the stripe curves as well. Bumping in, bumping out, and then just following the contour. See this? Okay, curving this way, curving that way, curving around. Now these are pretty close together in real life. I don't have to do each single one, or I could make it fatter if it's easier. Okay, which I probably am doing, but I'm just gonna keep that going as much as I can. So my basic strategy is to put the shading in and then put the texture in by noticing how the lines of the corduroy, which is the type of fabric it is, whenever you get those bumps, okay, it's called a wale in the fabric, like the animal whale. And that pattern is going to change direction, just like a striped pattern would. It's going to curve in and out along with the wrinkles of the fabric. If I were to take just straight lines across him, it wouldn't look real anymore. It would look very, very fake. Okay, and then when I'm done with that, that's when, those are pretty flat color, so I'm going to just do them solid. Okay, and his little outfit is done, but now we're going to do the same thing here with the sleeves. Okay, so I need to get a little bit of color. Gotta go back to my darker side of the smudger here. And really this, up to here, that's the kind of little wool bit sticking out. That's the corduroy bit. Now, it's pretty much gonna be straight lines here because of the arm being well stuffed. So I just want to show you the other way. Again, really skinny lines. This time, instead of putting in the shadows, I'm going to put in the areas where the light's hitting. And then not hitting as much. And then in shadow. Remember to get those smudges off there. If you rub eraser glue around it, makes a black mark that you don't want. Okay, so if it's darker, then the lines are going to be less white as well. Okay, so here we can go smudge around, smudge around. Ooh, that's actually looking very much like the texture. Just doing that on white. So that's a second technique that you could use. Third technique you could use for the fur would be to make those little roundish bits and then just go in and put a little shadow underneath, only on the bottom side, and a little more on some and a little less on others. And I've had people just do that and then smudge it the way I'm doing it without even putting the original marks in there. Okay, and I don't see any shadows right there, so I'm not going to put them in. What I do see here is that the red felt of the hand, again, is pretty much a solid color. There's no reflectivity about it, and it's kind of catching the same amount of light everywhere. Maybe a little bit darker right here. Oops, that formed too much of a line. I'm going to have to tap that with my eraser. Okay, and maybe a little glow around the edges. There, that came out. And if I want to just try to get that little glow of the individual hairs, I can leave it, or I can sharpen it up real nice like this. Okay, so here I took off the lighter areas. Let me show you how you could, if the lines are straight now, you got to copy reality, right? They're not going to look even everywhere. You're going to see more shadow in the shadow areas. And then it's going to be lighter in the lighter areas. And in here, you're going to really see those, right? Where it's got a little bit of a turn here. Okay, and then it turns a little bit. And the only shadows I see by the cuff are just the lines. And then I actually see this pop in a lot of light, but only just right. Oops, that's a little too fat there. Let's find a skinnier edge. Just right there. You see these little bits of light? There's kind of a cast shadow of the head. And then there's just little bits of light right here. Okay. And that kind of fades out. Alright, so let's try the just doing that kind of way of putting in those curls. The light's coming from the top, so those shadows are going to be only on the underneath side of the curls. Excuse me. And you just kind of swirl, swirl. So this is, right, another way of doing that fairly realistically. If you want to pop highlights, you just go at the top part of these little curls, and then you kind of just let those highlights kind of disappear as it wraps over into the shadowier area, right? These shadows might be darker in the shade, and the space in between might be darker. Okay, up here there's not going to be much detail at all. You could maybe see like little touches, and that might be it. And then in here, again, don't make them too liney, you know, because there's always randomness with living things. Don't make them in perfect rows. It's not gonna look realistic at all. That actually should have more shading everywhere here. A little bit, just like leave. And then make sure you smudge those up. And then you get those little bits of highlight in there, here and there. So this is the fun part. So you just keep playing with this. And you can start over if it's not working. Just, you know, little circles. Try not to make dashes because they look like, you know, because these are all, if you want to blend like this and take your highlights out first. Oops, it's too much graphite up here. Remember to curve your strokes on a curved object. Curve, curve, curve. Okay? If you wanted, you could take your little top bits, right? Little tiny circles. Da-da, 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 da-da. You gotta kind of keep track of them. And you wanna just side of your pencil, you wanna give each like a little cast shadow underneath. Right? I don't know which way is going to be easiest for you. You kind of have to just play around with it. See what you like doing. There's a lot of ways to get these textures. You know, just keep looking back at your original because you don't want to put in too much and kind of overkill spoils the effect, right? Okay, so just be sure you look. Right, and there would be no highlight on the ones that are over the, you know, past the curve and away from the light. There's a little reflected light, but that's not going to give you the really light popping that the ones on the top have. Right, there you go. A little bit of blending around that way. Clean up your edges. Okay, and I forgot to put some little bit of texture up here. And because that's a direct light area, I'm gonna put in my texture with highlights instead of shadows because there's really very little shadow going on up there. And then here, there's a lot more color, so I overdid it a little bit. And then, you know, you back off, you look, okay? Did my little fold highlights kind of disappear? Do I need to cut them in again? Do I have a little bit of light coming over here? Oops, that's too much. And you go in and you fix it because life sucks sometimes, right? And you just kind of take a look at each area. Maybe this needs to be darker, okay? Kind of look overall, did I get the darkness right of each of these compared to each other? Maybe this needs to be darker, okay? So like I was saying with your last video, it's not so much that like you're done. It's because there's always more you could do on a drawing. Just to add detail, just to fix things up, make them perfect. But you know, it's not so much am I done? It's you know, am I ready to stop? The moral of the story being that you can always make it better. Okay? Definitely don't stop until you have each part with texture and shading on it. All right? I think you guys are going to do great. Give it your best shot. You guys have 2 days to do this one. So you're going to finish the dog sometime tomorrow, I'd start right away on this one, and then you'll have Friday as well.